Welcome back to the next session. We're going to continue with quadratics. I'm going to solve another few of these inequalities, including a method of where when we've got graphs intersecting with each other, okay, how do we work out the inequalities under those conditions, right? Let's have a look here. I've got an inequality over here where I say minus x, okay, just get it back to minus x squared plus 2x less than or equal to minus 3. What is always step one is we must have a 0 on the right hand side. So let's get that guy across, minus x squared plus 2x plus 3 less than or equal to 0. Now we're set. Step one is get a 0 there. Step two is find roots. Find the roots. So let's put minus x squared plus 2x plus 3 equal to 0. And if we solve that, we get x plus 1 and x equals 3, x minus 3. Which gives us a final thing of x equals minus 1, x equals 3, and then we say it's negative. A, step 3, we're basically sketching it. A is less than 0 because A is equal to minus 1. A is what? A is this over there, correct? Okay, now I'm going to just do a quick sketch. Let's have a look what it looks like, shall we? Okay, we've got minus 1 and 1, 2, 3. So, and we know that it cuts the axis. I don't really need to know it. So let's go minus 1 and 3. And I know that it's negative, which means it's going up that way and it's going up that way. All right. I do know that it cuts the axis at 1, 2, 3, like so, like that. And then it's going to come down, isn't it, like that, right? So we know that. Okay. Next step, 4, is put in the sign change points. Okay. Let's have a look. I'm going to just put them in green. Right. And then look at the signs between the sign change points. I say, okay, up here, my y is positive, positive. It's negative and negative there, correct? So if I put in any x value here, I get a negative y value. If I put in any x value here, I get a positive y value. And while we're here, let's just recap. It's got a maximum at the turning point. Correct? The maximum value will be at the turning point. So now we've got it. Now let's have a look on our number line and say, okie dokes, let's just go to blue just for the heck of it. Let's say we want to put in the values on the thing. We say less than or equal to 0. In other words, I can use a solid dot over there. Then I say which way. X must be, it must be less than 0. So it must be on the negative side, so it must be that way. Therefore, x must be greater than 3, less than minus 1, and equal to, because it's a solid dot. All right. Now, in other words, the recipe for these are all the same. We basically draw it, put in the sign change point, and just continue from that point. Find out where it's positive, where it's negative, etc., etc. But now, that's if we put in one curve. What happens if we put in two curves, right? If we put in two curves, we're going to do the same thing. The two curves that I've chosen is these. I've got y is equal to x squared. I've got f of x equal to x squared plus x plus, or sorry, my bad, minus, don't know why it doesn't want to, minus 6. There we go. And on the other side, I've got g of x, okay, equal to minus x squared plus 2x plus 3. Like so. All right. Let's just take them down a little bit. Okay. So what do we do first? There's our two things, okay? Now, let's sketch them on the same axes. First of all, we have to find the roots. They are already in the form, okay, x squared plus x minus 6 equals 0, and minus x squared plus 2x plus 3 equals 0. Now what I have to do is I've got to find the roots of these two. So let's find them. We've already done them before, so we know the roots of this one. The x squared is going to be minus 3 and 2. Which gives us x equals minus 3, x equals 2. On this one, we have factorized it before. Previously, we got x, the roots are minus 1 and 3. So it's x plus 1, x minus 3 equals 0. Okay, 1 plus 2x. Wrong way around. Okay, that's x. It is, yeah, you're right. It is, sorry, my bad. X 3, so it's going to be x, because that's going to change, minus and a plus 1, so it's going to be x equals minus 1 and x equals 3, right? So those are our roots, and this graph is a positive and this graph is a negative graph. Now we have to draw the graphs or sketch the graphs on the same axes, all right? So let's have a look. I'm going to try and do it as neatly as I possibly can. Over here. I'm going to add in a little more, in fact, okay, so that we can get it, whoops. Okay, we can get it down like that. Right, let's put in our positions. Minus 1 and 3 is 1, 2, 3. So there's our first position, minus 1 and 3. And we know that that goes through 3 up top there. 1, 2, 3. So we know that graph is going to do something like this. All right, it's going to go up there and it's then going to go down like that, isn't it? Okay, so there's our graph of, but remember, we're only really interested in what happens around the x-axis, aren't we? So now, that is in fact our negative graph, which is going to be g of x. Right. Now we plot f of x. Let's plot f of x in blue. Right. F of x is minus 3, 1, 2, 3, and at 2. Right. And we know it goes down here. So this one is doing something like this. Right. Then we go and we put in our sign change. Right. Okay. Now, they say, all right, we've done everything now. Now the first question is, where is f of x equal to g of x? Right. What does that mean? It means, in essence, where are the graphs equal is these 2 points. The points of intersection is where we're going to find the graphs in me equal, is it not? So what do? How do we find that? Now, what we have to do here is we have to put the graphs equal to each other, don't we? We have to say f of x equal to g of x, which means I have to put x squared plus x minus 6 equal to minus x squared plus 2x plus 3, and solve for x. Well, let's get this all across to the other side. Plus x minus 6 plus x squared minus 2x minus 3 equals 0. Now we group like terms. Remember, we end up with 2x squared minus x minus 9 equals 0. Now, for those of you who've got the calculator, you would go and say, okay, you'd solve that, and you'd get the roots that are not nice, happy little numbers. So we use the formula, okay? Use the formula. So therefore, I say A is going to be equal to 2, B is minus 1, C is minus 9. Remember, you extract A, B, and C. Then we bang into the formula, x is equal to minus b minus 1 plus or minus b squared minus 1 squared minus 4a 2 times minus 9, all right, over 2a. Okay. Now, we're in a position now to solve that. What 2a is actually going to be 2 times a is 2. All right. And if we solve that, we get x equals, and I've done it already, 2.39, and x equals minus 1.89. So they've now asked us for those points, so let's put them in, shall we? We said minus 1.89, okay, minus 1.89, that's that point, and this point here was, let's have a look, 2.39, right? Okay, 2.39 is there. Right. Now, what you can see now is you've got intervals. We've got places or spaces. Can you see? We've got between here and here is a space, between there and there, between there and there to there, and there to there, and on. We've now can split it up into not only the sign change, but also the points of intersection, all right? We can look at those for interest. I'm now just going to change. Right, now they're going to ask, show where f of x, question is, this is actually question 2, isn't it? Question 2, where is f of x greater than g of x? Please note, greater than, which means it's going to be a hollow dot. It's going to be a hollow dot, isn't it? Because it's greater than. Okay, now let's take the next. It means, what does this mean? It means, okay, for what values of x is f of x, okay, what value is x is f of x greater than g of x, which means y1 greater than y2, doesn't it? That's all it means. So let's go to our graph, shall we? Right. We want to know where f of x greater than g of x. It means essentially where is f of x, right, which is my blue function. This is f of x here. Where is f of x above? Greater than means where's it above? So where is it going to be above g of x? It's going to be above g of x over here, isn't it? From here and from there. Because if I put in an x value bigger than 2.79, is that 2.79? Let's just have a look here. 2.39. Okay. Bigger than 2.39. If I put in a value of, let's say, 2.4, look, I go up here, and f of x is bigger than g of x. G of x is coming down, f of x is going up. They have crossed there, which means f of x is now bigger than g of x. So therefore what we say is we say that f of x is bigger where x is greater than 2.39, and let's have a look further down. What on this side? X must be less than 1.89, and x must be less than 1.89. Okay. And you can combine those, x greater than 2.39, less than 1.89, like that, right? Just make that look better. Now, that's so far so good. That's fairly simple. Now it gets a little more difficult, because now they say, question 3, where is f of x divided by g of x less than 0, okay? So what does it mean? It means when I take f of x and I divide by g of x, we get a negative. Okay? That's what we're saying. Okay? We are saying this. When is f of x divided by g of x negative? So let's just call f of x, just for fun, y1 and y2. So the y values, for what values of x? For what values of x is y1 divided by y2 less than 0? So we go along and we look, we're putting in values of x, aren't we? That's what this is about. They're asking for the domain. So if I put in x over here, what do I get? I get a value of f of x, and I get a value of g of x right down here. Right? And then I look to see if they are negative or positive when I divide them. How do we go about doing these? The easiest way, in my opinion, is actually, now that you've got the sign changes, we do the intervals. So let's put down a table of intervals. Okay? We've got -3 and less. Right? -3 to 1.89. Minus 1.89, minus 1.89 to -1. Can you see on the graph, -1, I'll show you now, 2 plus 2, and plus 2, 2, okay, plus 2 to 2.36. Then we've got 2.36, 2, 3, and then 3 and larger. Those are the intervals, okay? So what have I done? I have split it up. I have split it up into this piece, x that way, x from there to there, x there, x from there to there, x to there, x to there, and x. Can you see? I've split it up between all the interesting points. Now, what do I have to do? I now have to go and read off my graph. Let's just get it back. Right? I read off the graph. I say, right, f of x over g of x here. I go and have a look. Okay? If it's less than 3, let's go and have a look at the sign. Okay, shall we? Right, it's less than 3. So where are we? We are in this region here. We are down here, aren't we? So if I've got a number less than 3, f of x, the blue, f of x is positive. It's a positive number. And I go down and I say g of x is negative. Right? So I have got a positive over a negative. Okay? We've got a plus over a minus. And if we divide that, we get negative. Okay? Now, negative falls into our category. And remember, they are less than, there's no equal to. So all the dots are going to be hollow dots in this case. Are they not? So you can put that in straight away if you like. Hollow dot, and hollow dot. Right? Because they're all less than, there's no equal to. Continuing, we're now going to look in the next piece. Sorry, I'm just scrolling a little bit much. Okay. In the next piece, if I put in, let's say a value over here, I get f of x is going to be negative, and continuing down, g of x is also negative. So let's go back to our table. All right. Let's go back to our table. We say, right, therefore, let me just complete. F of x over g of x is, and we said it was, I got a negative divided by negative, which is positive. So, continuing down, I'm going to just fill this in. F of x over g of x here, f of x over g of x here, and lastly, f of x divided by g of x. Okay, what are we going to do now? We're going to go to the graph and we're going to go and look what signs we've got, because that's the only way to answer it. So let's go and have a look in the next section. The next section, where am I? The next section, I am in this point. I'm in this zone here, aren't I? I'm down here. Once again, I've got a negative divided by a negative. So I can go and say that is negative over negative. Negative divided by negative, which is a positive. Next one, I'm in the next zone, right? The next zone is between there and here. So here I've got, if I put in over here, a plus there and a minus here. Ditto here, a plus and a minus. So g of x is plus, f of x is minus. G of x is plus, f of x is minus. So I can say, right, g of x is plus, f of x is minus. So I get a minus divided by a plus, which is a negative. F of x over g of x, let's continue. F of x over g of x now. Where are we? We are in this little zone here. I get a plus divided by a plus, don't I? And in the next one is also a plus divided by a plus. I've got a plus divided by a plus. Okay, plus over plus. And the next one is also a plus over a plus. Gives me positive, positive. And the last one over here is going to be f of x over g of x. Let's go and find it. F of x over g of x in this zone now. I'm in the zone after 3. I've now got f of x is plus and minus. So I've got f of x as a plus and g of x as a minus. F of x as a plus and g of x as a minus, which gives me negative. Now we go and we say, okay, which sections are we looking at? We're looking for where it is negative. There and there and there. So it's negative in those zones. What zones are they? Let's go and use the green pen. Okay, it's negative in the zone, first of all, where it's less than minus 3. So let's go back to the graph. It's negative here. So that piece works, okay? It's also negative where? Okay, let's go back to the next piece. Negative in the zone where minus 1 to plus 2, right? So in the zone minus 1 to plus 2, right? Minus 1 to plus 2, so there as well, okay? And also there. So basically, once we've got the intervals, we can actually write them down. You can, if they want you to put it on a number line, this is the time to do it. We would basically put in the points of interest is minus 3, okay, minus 1, okay, minus 3, minus 1, and 2, and 3, right? And what did we say? We said there, there to there, and there, right? In other words, x must be less than minus 3. X over here must be less than 2, okay, greater than minus 1, and over here x must be greater than 3. Right? All of them are going to be hollow dots because each and every one has got a, it's less than or equal to. Yeah. Next one I'm going to do is another f of x divided by a g of x, and then a few of those we'll look at. They're sort of the typical problems you get, and then we're going to start looking at equations by fractions and the K method. All right, let's pack that one in now because we're sitting at our time sort of limit. So what do? Basically, we write them down, make sure that you've got a 0 on the right-hand side. Then solve for the quadratic, find the roots. Make a rough sketch. All you really need to know is where it's going up, through, or down. You don't need the y-intercept. You don't need the turning point, okay? That's just time. The y-intercept is easy to put in because it's given. The turning point is going to take you 30 seconds to work out. You don't need it. Then you put in the sign change lines and you look and see where your graph is. Your y value is positive and negative and mark it on your graph. And then you're going to answer the questions from there. If you have two graphs you're going to probably, in all likelihood, be asked the point of intersection, where f of x is equal to g of x. What do? Under those circumstances, we go and we put the two equal to each other and solve for x. And in my case, it didn't come out as a very nice value. You may have to use the formula. Okay, that's how they're making you use all the tools at your disposal, not disposable. Thanks for watching that. As I say, next we're going to do another one like that. That was quite a hectic one. Enjoyable, but quite hectic. Cheers. Have a great time. Bye.